In the last video I did on flash, I talked about the settings you should use on your camera and your flash, but today I'm going to talk about how to actually use an external flash, in what direction should you point it, etc. Now, the worst thing you can do is just point your flash straight at your subject. That's going to create a very flat look. I call it sort of that frog look. Anyone that's taken a photograph in the middle of the night without any lights in the background with flash on the camera, or maybe your iPhone, whatever it is, it looks very flat because it doesn't really have any tonality. It's just all one direction, the light on axis with the camera, and it just creates a very flat image. You don't get that depth you get from sort of the molding effect of a gradient of light. Now, there are things you can do with a flash without buying a modifier. You don't need to buy like one of these guys, for example. This actually comes with the Canon flash now. You used to have to buy it, but my favorite is, which I'll get to, actually let's start with what I don't really like. The first one is aiming it up. Ideally you're aiming it at a white ceiling, and then you're just gonna raise, this is an awkward thing to do, you're gonna raise your little white card here. And so what that's gonna do is, because you don't want the flash to bounce off the ceiling and come straight down, and then you're gonna get shadows under the eye, what this does is it fills in that frontal light, kind of fills in those shadows. I don't like it, I'm not a huge fan, I've tried to avoid it. My favorite technique is I look for a corner behind my shoulder. So I'm looking for Rembrandt Light, and if you're not familiar with Rembrandt Light is basically a 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle. That means it would be 45 degrees behind me, coming from a 45-degree angle downward, and so that would perfectly be a corner. So I rotate the flash, put it behind me, perfect. That's going to give me this real natural sort of gradation of light, and it's not going to be flat. It's going to be a lot more dynamic. Now, this is not a common technique used, but another one I like, depends, is I will actually put it straight to my left if I have a nice white wall. If they're standing near a white wall, you end up getting this giant softbox effect, because that white wall is going to basically reflect a bunch of soft light. You're going to get a beautiful window type light look. Others you can use, well, then you have your modifiers, and pretty much the modifiers are all doing the same thing. A modifier is basically just softening the light. So with this Canon modifier, basically, if I can put it on, I really don't like using these. I really don't. A lot of people put one of these on and then they point it straight. That's not how it works. Unless something's changed, you're really supposed to get sort of that, I don't know, 45-ish angle like that, and that way it's bouncing off the ceiling, but you're also getting a bit of a reflection in the front. Again, you're getting that nice natural light coming from above, but you're filling in the shadows. And that's pretty much the gist of using light. So if you know your settings, you know you need to be on TTL unless there's a good reason to shoot manual, and you know your camera settings, just shoot manual. The lower your shutter, the more ambient light you're letting in. Aperture can be anything, but if it's too high, you're making your flash work really hard because it's gonna have to put out more power. Anyway, I hope that helps. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys have a topic you'd like to see me cover, I'll gladly do it. Just let me know. This is meant to be a very basic intro, so it's not meant to be in depth. So, you know, don't attack the video for what it didn't tell you and what it didn't show. I mean, if you guys have constructive stuff to add in the comments, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'm going to ignore it. I'll see you guys soon.